Welcome to another highly questionable football week. This guy's all fired up. That's Izzy Gutierrez. What do you like on the show today, Iz?
You think after his home debut, LeBron's going to miss some games with like a migraine this season? His teammates are a pain.
Dale, papi.
Should Rajon Rondo have been suspended longer for spitting in Chris Paul's face?
Basketball is trying to get rid of fighting at every turn, whether it's suspending Amari Stoudemire for going on a court, erasing Malice in the Palace from all video scrubbed commentary because the NBA doesn't want you to remember that. But this particular fight, not exactly bad for the sport when you get these personalities involved. Rajon Rondo gets 3 games for that. At one point, it looked like Carmelo Anthony had accidentally spit in the face of his teammate, and that would have been great if all of that had been triggered by Carmelo Anthony's contribution to this. But no, the league looked at the video from every angle, and Rondo did this, and the big stunner is there was an incident involving the Rockets and the Lakers, and somehow Lance Stevenson was not involved.
Seriously, like LeBron James looks at this and he's like, man, first time we have an incident, it's not even Lance Stevenson, and it happens to be against possibly my best friend in the league and Chris Paul, and that's why he walked away with Chris Paul in his arms and not his own teammates. I think it's wildly fascinating when you look at Rajon Rondo. I wonder what his national reputation is. Do people think of him as an irritant who's kind of mindless or somebody who's very smart in what he goes about doing? Because Alvin Gentry says he's the smartest basketball player he's ever coached. That should tell you Rajon Rondo knows exactly what he's doing. He had that slur locked and loaded for Bill Kennedy, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look that one up. And you know he tried to do this to Chris Paul and get away with it. And if you look at the video, the league had to look so closely to see if it actually happened. And even though they probably have proof that it did, could only give him 3 games despite his history. That was a slick move by Rajon Rondo.
Izzy's so right about that. Rajon Rondo is such a veteran slickster that he pulled that off almost without us being able to see what he was doing, even with instant replay.
And of course, LeBron didn't throw a punch because he claimed that he had a broken hand.
He had a broken hand.
That's what he said.
During the playoffs. It's still broken.
And do you know what would have happened if Melo would have tried to throw a punch? He would have missed.
You didn't see that one coming, did you?
What should the Jaguars do about Blake Bortles and their quarterback position?
He likes to call him Bottles, even though it's Bortles, and he was a nightmare who was actually benched yesterday, and it makes you wonder, is Tom Coughlin someone who was up there thinking to himself, well, I've won Super Bowls with a quarterback who's just okay in a 4-man pass rush. I can do this with anyone. I've done it twice with Eli Manning. Therefore, I will take my defense from year to year and trust it. And they've been trying to hide their quarterback for a long time. And now they're a bit stuck, and it wouldn't surprise you at all if the next stop for Eli Manning is here, because that kind of incompetence, even aged, isn't as bad as this kind of incompetence.
What they should have done was what they did, which is sit Blake Bortles. They just should have thought about this earlier, going into last season maybe, or even at the end of last season when they were so enamored with what their defense was doing and what their offense was kind of doing with Leonard Fournette, mind you, who they don't have right now. They should have thought about this. They should have had the foresight to say, at least let me have a good backup and not trade for Cody Kessler for a 7th rounder. I think the issue here is there's probably no better formula in the NFL for riots in a locker room than a great defense and an incompetent offense. Those personalities on defense are going to say, what are you doing? We're doing our job. We are arguably the best in the league at this, and you are doing nothing to help us. And that's probably why this defense doesn't look so great anymore. 28th in the league in turnovers and 18th in sacks. They are way better than that.
I remind you, by the way, it's not merely that Bortles was still their starter this year when all of us know he's not a very good quarterback. They gave him an extension this offseason. They banked on him beyond this year.
Well, I know a quarterback that they can trade for. He's available right now. He has a lot of experience, you know. His name is Nathan Peterman. That's the guy.
I mean, yes, he's probably available, yes. Tom Brady, if his next 1,000 passes are interceptions, he's got a better interception rate still than Nathan Peterman. I'm not making that up. 1,000 passes.
Did Mike Vrabel make the right decision by going for 2?
Vrabel is his name. That's okay.
I like
it's a
Vrabel.
tough one. I like Vrabel more, too. So the Titans go and do Titans things over in London. And let's check out the play at the end of this game. It seems like every coach in this league fears a tie more than actually losing. And so that's the last play, 2-point conversion instead of going for the tie. And I'm not even sure of the math on this, but let's listen to Vrabel's explanation afterward.
I told the team that we made a decision that we're going to be aggressive, and early in the drive, when that drive started, I thought in my mind that if we scored, when we scored, if there was less than 40 seconds, we were going to go for two. We were going to win the game. And if there was, if it was a minute and 30, we were going to, kick the extra point and go play defense. So, I got a lot of faith in our players. They've been, converting, third downs and converting in those situations. And Marcus was, doing everything we need him to do and keeping plays alive. And so, not going to second guess the call. Just didn't work out.
I'm all about taking that risk, Dan. I'm all about playing the numbers and say, you know what, go for the win, rally the troops. It'll kickstart us for the rest of the season. But, man, wasn't this the offense that allowed 11 sacks just the other day to the Baltimore Ravens? Yeah. Isn't this the quarterback that you don't really trust as you see other quarterbacks just elevate above him, very far above him, by the way? And look at the pass. That was there. It was available. He blew it. He blew this pass. He threw it up and behind him. And it was a terrible throw. Even if he was wide open, he wouldn't have gotten that across. I understand trusting your team, but does that offense deserve to be trusted? Give the British a few more minutes of extra football for free. Why not?
Never mind the math, though. Just think of it this way, because they got a penalty call. They were a yard away. If I tell you you're playing a better team than you, everyone knows San Diego's better than the Titans. Here's the game. 1 yard. Can you get 1 yard for the game? No overtime, no giving the ball back to Phillip Rivers. Can you get 1 yard? I'm going to say that most coaches in the league would say that they'd have confidence to get that 1 yard. Most coaches in the league would not have the confidence to buck the trend, though, and do that and then face all the questions when it feels like you're responsible for the loss. That's actually courage. That's actually leadership. But I understand why people would take the result and just say you're an idiot.
Well, I don't know. I'm confused because they are 0 for 7 in the last 7 attempts at the 2-point conversion. So you figure they can make a 2-point conversion for and they keep going for it.
How about those numbers, Dan?
That's right.
I said I didn't know what the math was. That's the math. They failed the last 7 times, and they can't do it worth bleep.
What do you make of Eric Reid calling Malcolm Jenkins a sellout?
So Philadelphia's going along yesterday, winning the game, and then the fourth quarter football happens, and Carolina just ends up winning that game. And man, what a fun flight that must have been for Eric Reid to take that victory home when he appeared crazed before the game, just yelling at Malcolm Jenkins. And then afterward, he was still a hissing radiator after wanting to fight all of the Eagles.
He's a sellout.
Why do you say that?
Because he's a sellout.
Is that what you told him?
Yes. I believe Malcolm capitalized on the situation. He co-opted the movement that was started by Colin to get his organization funded. It's cowardly. He sold us out.
I understand both perspectives on this. Malcolm Jenkins took an untenable, unwinnable situation for this league and tried to get millions of dollars for causes. And that players' coalition that he formed, this guy left it, and he risked his career. He was 25, one of the best safeties in the league. He was out of the sport. With that blood, that violence, he risked his career. So I understand why he looks at Malcolm Jenkins and says, man, you betrayed me by taking that money from those owners who were kicking me out of the league. But I also understand Malcolm Jenkins trying to do good things with that money. It was sad to me to see these two guys fight because they're on the same side.
Exactly. It sounds like these two sort of have different definitions of progress here, whereas Malcolm Jenkins is saying, hey, I saw this opportunity to get money for our cause, for the NFL to help us out in individual communities, and for whatever reason, I'm taking their word that they're going to help us out on this. That is some version of progress. Whereas Eric Reid saying, no, we want it all or nothing. This isn't about hush money. This isn't about standing us up off of our knees and settling the NFL's dispute. This is about what it really is, social injustice. There is no halfway fixing this issue, so we go forward with our fight. It's somebody crossing a picket line far too soon, and this is how personal it gets when the matter is that important.
Malcolm Jenkins is fighting for something that resembles peace, and Eric Reid is fighting for something that more resembles justice. And you get into these situations where Malcolm Jenkins is doing a lot of big, profound things trying to help his cause. He's doing ride-alongs with police officers. He's trying to change legislation. This is not a man who deserves to be called a sellout.
Coming up next on Highly Questionable, You know, things are pretty bad for Hugh Jackson, that losing record that he has. But you really know what makes it even worse?
What's that?
Man, he has to live in Cleveland. He has to stay in Cleveland after loss after loss. At least, if you were living out of Cleveland, then you take a plane and you forget about the loss. But you got to stay there loss after loss. My Son's TV show is brought to you by Nissan. Innovation that excites.
I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got one gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard.
Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Time for more football. Let's overreact to this week's scores.
Overreaction. We lead the league in that.
Would Hugh Jackson be smart to take over playing calling duty from Todd Haley?
Okay, the Browns lost yesterday in excruciating fashion. They lose at the end to a 59-yard field goal. And after the game, Hugh Jackson walks in and is like, I've got the solution. The man who has led you to one victory in the last 2 seasons before this one should handle the play calling instead of Todd Haley. He's got combustible defensive and offensive coordinators. We knew there were going to be issues with those strong personalities of Greg Williams and Todd Haley. But I think we all know that the best investment in this sport is a young quarterback's future. You have to make sure that everything's right there. And if Hugh Jackson thinks he can reach his quarterback better than Todd Haley does, that's his job to do that, to fix that situation.
There you go, Dan. Shortchanging Hugh Jackson again. He is responsible for 100% more wins than you've given him credit for. Listen, I know no Cleveland Browns fans are saying, hey, we need more Hugh Jackson in our lives. We need him to call the offense because everything he's been doing so far has been amazing. But just look at this team. Like, is Jarvis Landry that number one receiver he was claiming he was when he left Miami? No. And if you look at the rest of that team, it is a defense-oriented team, and you've got Baker Mayfield there, which you mentioned you don't want to ruin. I don't know if this team is any good. I don't know if they just had that one bad game to the Chargers, and they might even be sort of playoff potential. I just want to see their full potential right now. If that includes Hugh Jackson making the calls, do it. But I just have a hard time believing that a guy in Todd Haley, who's made calls for quality teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, is all of a sudden not knowing what he's doing. I'd go ahead and let Hugh Jackson do the head coaching duties and keep things as is. Maybe that'll turn out. I mean, they've been in every game except for one.
I ask you this question, though. If Tampa Bay doinks a 59-yard field goal and Cleveland manages to win that game in overtime, do you think we're having a conversation about the play calling? That's how fragile this stuff is in the NFL sometimes. As long as you win, it doesn't matter. But they didn't win. They lost to a 59-yard field goal from a guy who had just missed a 40-yarder. That's bad luck.
Things are pretty bad for Hugh Jackson, that losing record that he has. But you really know what makes it even worse?
What's that?
Man, he has to live in Cleveland. He has to stay in Cleveland after loss after loss. At least, if you were living out of Cleveland, then you take a plane and you forget about the loss. But, you got to stay there loss after loss. Weather, it's bad. The sun never comes out. It's smog all over the place. You know what I mean? That's real bad.
I think it just mixed up Cleveland, Seattle, and LA and just put them all together into one city.
Detroit in there too. I think there was some Detroit in there.
Who is better, the Chiefs or the Rams?
The Rams.
All right.
Can we move on to the next question?
I ask you question. Who is better, the Chiefs or the Rams?
I answered your bleeping question. The Rams are better. You need more? You need me to talk about Gurley and they're more balanced? And no, they're better. And also they're undefeated. They haven't lost.
I say the Chiefs.
Well, now where are we?
When is Jerry Jones going to tire of Jason Garrett's conservative play calling?
Now.
Oh, I believe we're already there. I believe his answer is the correct one because, and this is the record-breaking thing that is being broken here on ESPN, there have been 2 full days of public silence from Jerry Jones. He is said to have left yesterday through a side door after usually giving a post-game press conference that is really weird for an owner to be giving, but he's been doing it for years. And then today he canceled a radio show that he loves doing because he doesn't want to speak about this particular thing, I would assume. So, where are we? Jason Garrett, according to Las Vegas, is your odds-on favorite for 3 weeks now to be the first coach fired in the NFL. It feels like we're headed that way.
Listen, it feels like Jerry Jones has been upset with Jason Garrett for 4 or 5 years now, and he's been on the chopping block. It's a surprise. It's a minor miracle that he is still the head coach. He's been complaining about his conservative approach all the time, and then he says, no, it's not second-guessing. It absolutely is. The fact that he's not talking now tells you he doesn't want to second-guess this guy. The play calling on that last play to set up for a 47-yard field goal is absolutely ridiculous. You got a timeout in your back pocket. Use it. It doesn't really make any sense what he's doing with a team that at its best is one of those 9-10 win teams that maybe makes the playoffs. Jeez. I don't know what he's holding on to. He's had this job for longer than most people would have bet anyway.
If you're looking for the handbook on things that need to happen for an owner to fire a coach, the first thing that needs to happen is he publicly criticizes in the newspapers, on the radio, and on television the play calling after a loss. And then after the next loss, he disappears like some sort of magician through a contraption in the side of the locker room that allows him to escape silently. Those are the two things that need to happen before the third, which is you're fired.
Highly questionable. This broadcast from the Clevelander Hotel on beautiful South Beach, Miami. Time to play the game that has a complicated relationship with his son. Do you question?
I see it every day. You give us topics and events and we question them.
It's not complicated. He doesn't like me.
Do you question whether Justin Tucker deserves the blame for the Ravens' loss?
Fun game between these two above-average teams, and I don't think that there was a more surprising thing to happen on Sunday than this guy who had made 300 consecutive kicks from inside 33 yards, never missed an extra point, not high school, not college, not in the pros, never missed a field goal from this distance. He's the surest thing with a foot in the NFL, and then he hits a golf shot that it would appear from the look on his face, this guy thought he had hit it correctly, and he was as surprised as the rest of us were.
That is the face of a man who has never missed one of those and did it in the most inopportune of times. How unlucky do you have to be? Do you know how many extra points he kicks? How many of those, what percentage of those are for a game tire or a game winner? I mean, it's got to be that small. He could have missed it at any other time, and he missed it there.
Can we see the last of that again? If I didn't tell you that these people were football players reacting to a final kick, and I told you instead, these two human beings have just seen a spaceship land on the field, and 3 different aliens got out of it. Both of these guys. Look at them. Like, what the hell is that? What just happened?
How about giving some credit to number 28? Do you see number 28 there? Show 28.
Show
Look at that guy
28.
jumping up and down and yelling.
Show
28.
28 jumping up and down and yelling.
That's right. That's the guy right there. The only one.
There it is, right there.
That was the difference right there. He knew it. That's right. All
Making all kinds of noises, jumping around.
Also, he was number 29. My father's eyesight is very bad.
He's the real deal and the total package. That's a real deal and the total package.
Number 28.
Number 28.
It's actually number 29.
29.
Close enough.
Do you question this offensive back's confidence?
This was the funniest thing from the sports weekend. We go out to BC of the Canadian Football League. Now, his confidence is just fine before the play starts. Look at his confidence as he heads toward the line of scrimmage. Let's watch him here. He's saying, I got this. Look at this. I'm fired up. I want some of this. I got my eyes on you. Bring it. Bring it, big boy. What do you got with a 10-yard head start? How about some of that for you? Right there. There you go.
The first time I saw this, it was on the internet. It was on social media, and the camera angle did not even have the receiver in the picture. So you don't even know he's got a running start. And yet you see a guy that is twice your size, it feels like, and he's got a running start, and you've got this come get it confidence. Get the heck out of here. You deserve that. You deserve that to happen to you.
Well, I know another guy I wouldn't want running at me.
Who are we looking at here?
There we go.
I would button hook. Try and go ahead and defend around that big body. I'd turn around and just 4 yards right here. 4 yards. How you going to get around it? You can't get around it.
Time to play the game that is going to wear lingerie for Halloween. See? Oh, no.
I thought lingerie would be the tough word, not Halloween. You tell us what to watch on television tonight. We tell you if we're intrigued.
Don't do it.
Tonight on ESPN, Monday Night Football, Giants and Falcons.
No, thank you. But you've seen the mess Odell Beckham has made with the New York Giants. I can't imagine how Giants fans feel about the disruption when you combine it with him leaving in the first half last week because he was dehydrated. And then this is his explanation for why it is that he needs to get IVs during games.
I've always cramped. It's just I feel like I'm working harder than I ever have. So I really don't like water. I'm trying. I really just don't like it. You know, when you get that stomach feeling, it's all slushy. Like I'm trying to stay hydrated, but you know, sometimes I just got to get an IV. It's just necessary.
That is very odd. I've never heard of a athlete saying something like that. Izzy, are you intrigued?
A little bit. I'm kind of confused as to which one hurts more, water in your stomach or a needle in your arm, but I do relate to Odell here, just like I related to LeBron when he had cramping issues. I am one of those people. I cramp up a lot. This was me in a hospital bed after 2 flag football games. I also happened to fly cross country that same day. But yeah, this is a result of cramping. So, Odell, even though I think you should drink some water, totally understand.
Is this the only time that he's ever got a shirt on? How about you, Papi? Are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued. You know, I'm looking forward to that game tonight because they have a quarterback, the Giants, that I love how he moved the ball downfield. You know, I love to see him in operation. 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard, -4, 5 yard, 2 yards, fumble, 1 yard, pick 6, 2 yards.
Who's the quarterback?
4 yards. Eli Manning. That's right.
You didn't know from his description, did you?
2 turnovers.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching.
Only one see or no today. We got off easy.
Wait a second. The World Series is supposed to start tomorrow. We didn't say anything about the World Series.
We don't have a question about the World Series. How is that possible?
Baseball, right?
That's right.